All right, I had to do an update to one of my streaming things, so I'm like trying to figure out if I got it working right. So hi, whatever day it is today, the Wednesday, right? I mean, I have to look at my computer because I actually don't know. It appears to be Wednesday, April 7th today. Does really time mean anything? Kind of not. So I'm reading this really cool book that I'll share with you. Actually, one of my clients shared it with me. And so I started reading it and I love the lady. Good morning, Michelle. I love the lady because she's very, I don't even know what you would call it. I guess whatever you would call, I, I don't know. Like I took it as a compliment because my client was like, you need to read this lady's book. She's so much like you. And I'm like, okay. She's very witty. Like she has a very like, I don't give a hoot attitude. And I love that about her. She's just like, for example, like I'll show you the book in a second, but she says, and I love this, remember, you don't have to believe these lessons. You just have to do them. And there's like another spot where she's like, that's it. As the course says, you don't have to believe it. You don't even have to like it. Just follow the damn instructions. And I was like, yep, okay, right away. Right, that's like on the first page, and I'm sold. So this is called the Course in Miracles Experiment, a starter kit for rewiring your mind and therefore the world. So this is written by a lady named Pam Grout, and I am really loving it. It's set up in a way too that it's pretty cool. She has 365 days. So you're supposed to read them daily, I guess, but you read one and then you just zip on to the next one because they're really cool. So they're set up like this, right? So like they're numbered for each day. It's backwards. They're numbered for each day. So you read one each day and it's kind of like the mantra. So then by the time 365 days goes by, you're working on rewiring your brain. But it's pretty good. I just did 4 in a minute. But it's super cool. It's kind of a great pick me up in the morning, but I love her spontaneity, spunky newest to spunkiness. I love to make up words. It's great. It's one of my talents. Okay. I realized that I wrote my note. I usually set my note right up here by my computer. I wrote it upside down, so I can't sit it on top of my computer today. It's like, oh, that's good. Okay. So first of all, I have a really amazing story. So thank you. Thank you for sharing. By the way, if you share, you care, right? If you share, you get entered to win. We're giving away these socks on Friday. You also get a free session with me. So share because you care. Okay. So this is really crazy, but I have to share it with you. And then I will tell you what my cool little thing is for today. All right. So the past 4 nights, probably. Anyway, details don't matter. The past 4 nights, I keep getting woken up at the same time of night. Now, if you are into any kind of energy, anything like that, like you probably have run across in your time that there is the thought that if you are waking up at a specific time of night, that potentially someone is trying to send you a message. Okay. So someone from the other side trying to send you a message. So I keep waking up at the same time. During that time, I'm also like, when you're a kid and you play video games too long, at least I did this. You play video games all day long. And then when you sleep, like you dream that you're playing the video game and you can't stop. And it's kind of overwhelming. And then you kind of wake up and you're not fully awake or asleep, but you're like playing the video game still. So kind of like that. I'm doing like energy sessions. I'm not completely asleep and I'm not completely awake, but I literally am dreaming about some of my clients and some things, and I'm like releasing energies from them. And so I can't fully get to sleep. And so after about the 3rd night, I'm like, okay, you know what? You need to ask what is happening. What someone's trying to tell you something, like stop ignoring it because it's not going to go away until you figure out what this is. So I wake myself up enough that I resonate and I'm, bringing in energy and trying to figure out, okay, who am I feeling? What's going on? And trying to figure out who it is. And so I figure out who it is, and it is my kiddo's dad that's passed away. And I'm like, okay, hello, so I'm asking, like, what are you trying to show me? Like, why are you waking me up? And I get this impression of some kind of a rock. And I'm like, oh my word, what? You want me to go find a rock? And so I'm like, okay, this is something that means something to one of my kids. I don't know what it is, but I'm like, okay, message received. I need to talk to my kids. I need to say, and this is the cool thing. When I get these impressions or some thing goes on, like, it doesn't usually make sense to me, but it makes sense to the person. You know what? I always get scared when my mom group texts all of us. I don't know what she's saying. Okay, mother. So I ask my kid that I really think would know. So he's the 17-year-old. I ask him, I'm like, hey, do you by chance have a rock? Because this is what I'm thinking to myself. Maybe there is a rock or something. Shane wants to be able to help me with my energy stuff. So perhaps this rock has some significance, right? It's like this one I'm holding right here. This is baby sister's, right? It has some significance, helps me with my ability to receive impressions. So I'm like, okay, ask him about it. He's like, I don't have anything like that. Are you sure? Because he collects a lot of stuff. He's like, no, I don't have a rock. I'm like, it's something like a rock, something you collected maybe when your dad was alive. I don't know. And he's like, no, the only thing I have is coins. So I'm like, okay. A couple more days go by. After I figured out what it was, I didn't get woken up again until then. It happened one more time because I didn't ask the oldest one. I didn't ask Stetson. So yesterday, Stetson's sitting in here in my office and he's hanging out, and I'm like, oh, I have to ask you something. And he's like, okay, right. And I said, do you know of a rock or something that could be associated with your dad? Like maybe you found it when he was here. I don't know. And immediately Stetson's like, no, I don't have a rock that's associated when dad was alive, but I have a rock that's associated with when he died. And I was like, you do? And he said, yeah. And I was like, well, do tell. So how crazy is this? He says after his dad passes away, he's at a friend's house. And some lady, and I don't know the whole story, so he could obviously tell this better, but something about some lady is there, and somebody says, hey, do you know whose kid this is? And she's like, no. And someone says, oh, this is Shane's kid. And she's like, oh my gosh. And so Stetson said she went and got a rock and gave it to him. And it was like, I don't know, but this rock has some meaning for you. It's a protection. I knew your dad. And she gives him this rock. And so he's been carrying this rock around with him since his dad died. And I was like, you have a rock? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I need the rock. And he's like, what? And I'm like, I saw it. Your dad's trying to tell you that you need to give me the rock. And at first I was like, what am I supposed to do with the rock? And then I figured out what it was. The energy of the rock just needs to be restored, and whatever, there needs to be a connection. So now I have the ability, because of my own journey, is that what I picked up on, it actually just became even clearer as I'm telling you this, is that rock has some kind of energy from his dad, and I need to add my own energy to it to create even a more protection for Stetson. So I was like, where is this rock? And he's like, it's in the door of my car. He's like, I take it everywhere I go. And I was like, okay, touche. Like, that's the kind of things that happen. Like when you get in connection with your higher level self, freaking cool things like this come to you. Like it just happens, and without a doubt something that you're supposed to do, and literally things just fall in place for you. It's so amazing. So amazing. Okay. So now my little tidbit of the day. So as I'm reading this Course in Miracles, the first thing that I come about is, and this is a good one to reflect for yourself. What are you devoting your time and attention to? And I think that's a really great question to resonate with yourself. What are you devoting your time and attention to? Okay, now, so think about that. What am I devoting my time and attention to? Is it, so honestly, I am devoting my time and attention to learning in every capacity. Like I'm devoting my time and attention to learning at work about things and progressing and making processes better. I'm learning about things that are involved with food quality and safety for my corporate job. And outside of that, I'm trying to absorb and learn as much as I can about the healing process and about connections and about energy so that I can help my clients. But are you devoting your time and attention to things that you don't want? Because that's the kicker. If you're devoting your time and attention to things that you don't want, then you are focusing on the absolute wrong thing. And you're like, but Amy, how do I do that when I'm in pain? I know it's difficult. So then you do this where for a moment you sit with yourself and you breathe and you just accept it. And I know that sounds crazy, but love it. Be like, oh yeah, I feel my pain. I did this yesterday. It works fantastic. I started having this shooting pain in the side of my leg. And I was like, ooh, and immediately I went into past agreement mode. What have I been taught? What have I been taught? Oh, that when I'm in pain, oh, I needed what? I need to figure out what it is. I need to take some Tylenol. I need to contact a chiropractor. Like that's what the world has taught me. And instead I was like, nope, breathe in, feel the pain. This is associated with stress, I'm sure, a trapped emotion. I don't know. Feel it, resonate with yourself, and then breathe it out, send it out through your toes and let it dissolve. And guess what? It worked 100%. It was gone. And don't sit there and be like, well, you know how to do this, because that's what you do. You can do it just as easily as I can. Feel that energy and then let it go. Okay. So then I'm talking about, I don't want to sit all day and be like, oh, I have this pain in my leg. Oh, I'm going to take more medication. Oh, what's going on? No, there's a past agreement in my head where I have had a stressor or something is trapped right there. It's causing me pain in my leg. My body, God created your body to be a beautiful healing source. All you have to do is figure out how to access that. That's where we've gone wrong as human beings, is that we have pushed that aside and all we do is focus on the symptoms and the treatment instead of actually getting rid of it. Okay. So it's a really bad habit to focus on what we don't want, but you can stop. Okay. I loved this. Enlightenment is the unlearning of your life. And not necessarily that. The enlightenment is unlearning of your beliefs, what you've been taught. Ooh, I have pain. Therefore, I must need surgery or Tylenol. No. So don't give your mind the attention. Okay. What does that mean? Well, when I start thinking something that's not progressive for me, I actually say to myself, this thought doesn't mean anything. I know that sounds simple. Really, though, we overcomplicate everything. It really is that simple. Thought pops up into your head. If it has no value, this thought doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. And you start living in the now. Live in the now. Don't focus on the future. Don't focus on the past. Focus on right now in the present. And a thought pops up. It's really, I don't want to give it any attention. It doesn't really mean anything, because guess what? You create your own reality. And I know that's super deep thinking and it's really hard to wrap your little noggin around, but you create your own reality. Your reality has been created by human beings that give you limitations. We talked about this, I think, on Monday Soul Deliciousness, right? If I don't go to college, I won't make money. If I don't do my dishes, I'm a bad mom. If I don't do blah, 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 right? The only non-negotiable items in life, and even those, like if you're really good at this, you can even overcome them. But, are things that like, hey, if I go to work and I don't do this, then, I will get fired. Like there are some realities that are that way because that's what life has given us. But as far as everything else goes, really doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't, because you are the one that gives value to stuff based off of what you have been taught. I know that's some really deep thinking for today. Okay, you guys, I feel like the sun is coming out. The snow is gone. I haven't looked, but I'm hoping for a beautiful warm day. So let's do some refill of energy. You can even still my energy if you want. It's beautiful, flowing. Send it out through the toes. Breathe in. Breathing does wonders for you. And I hope that you have a beautiful, blessed day. Oh, socks. So I'm wearing my chicken and cat shirt. So I thought, abundance is blooming for those of you that are connecting with your higher level self. And I have pig socks with dollar signs on them. So I thought, I'm going to wear these for farm animal day. I got the whole farm going on. So I got the chicken, the cat, and the pig. I feel literally ready to go. Okay, you guys have a beautiful day.